who broke the whole Meghan Markle bullying scandal. The palace starts talking about her bullying right before the Oprah interview. You have to be stupid to believe this was not a made-up attempt at maligning Meghan unfairly.
It was supposed to be the fairy tale of the century, but behind the palace gates, whispers turned into accusations, and a royal dream began to rot from within. The truth about Meghan Markle's bullying scandal isn't just about one woman's behavior. It's about power, manipulation, and what happens when image becomes more sacred than integrity. But first, subscribe and turn on notifications, because what you're about to hear isn't the sanitized royal PR spin. It's the unsettling story of how a kingdom's secrets collided with Hollywood ambition, and the aftermath could still shake the monarchy.
But the truth is, you've seen the documents. There are papers in which this behavior is documented going back to, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's October of 2018. This was not a made-up scandal because she went on Oprah.
No, so a couple of things to say that, yes, the original memo making the bullying accusation was in October of 2018. First of all, Harry talks about the palace. And this is an allegation that Meghan's lawyers made when they responded to me, that this was clearly an attempt at a smear by Buckingham Palace. And that's, obviously I'm not going to get into my sources for the story, but that's a ludicrous allegation. Because if you read what I wrote, the Buckingham Palace does not emerge well from this. They messed up. They messed up because they did nothing. These allegations of bullying were made, and they did absolutely nothing. They just sat in it. So the idea that Buckingham Palace should put this out is just a joke. The other thing is the timing of the story. When I wrote that story in March of 2021, I did a lot of media interviews. And also when I wrote in the Times, I was completely upfront that the timing was connected to Oprah. And the reason why is because the victims of the bullying, they wanted their story out there. They wanted the world to know that, there's Meghan portraying herself as a victim of the palace, essentially. And they wanted to say that there are other victims out here. And if they put their story out after Oprah, it just would have been lost in the noise. No one would have paid any attention. And it also would have come across as sour grapes. So the only way to make sure they got heard was to make sure their story came out before Oprah. So it's not some evil palace conspiracy. It's just the way that the way these young people suffered in their view at the hands of Meghan. They just wanted that to be heard by the rest of the world.
Let's be clear. This isn't just palace gossip. When journalist Valentine Low published claims that Meghan Markle bullied her staff, it shattered the glossy image the Duchess had so carefully constructed. For years, the narrative painted her as the victim, a woman persecuted by an outdated institution. But what if that story was incomplete? What if behind the tears, there was a trail of fear, intimidation, and emotional wreckage? Because according to those closest to her, this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a pattern, a storm of cruelty wrapped in charisma.
And whereas Meghan, we heard from Gayle King after her best friend Oprah interviewed them, Meghan has the receipts. She's got the documentation to prove every claim she made in that interview. And yet now we've watched 6 hours of Netflix and we've read Prince Harry's memoir Spare, and there are no receipts. There is nothing to prove that the royal family has a racist who's concerned about how dark the baby's skin is going to be, or these other allegations that she said to Oprah. However, you do have receipts. You claim in the book to have seen receipts, so to speak, of the bullying, including, you write as follows. On October 26th, 2018, just as Harry and Meghan were flying from Tonga to Sydney for the Invictus Games, Jason, is it Knauf? Is that how you pronounce his name?
Knauf, yeah.
Jason Knauf, who worked for a time, he worked for William, Kate, and Harry, and then he split off to just William and Kate after things went south with Meghan and Harry. Knauf wrote an email to his immediate boss, Simon Case, Prince William's private secretary, saying he had spoken to the head of HR for the palace, again, this is 2018, about, quote, some very serious problems concerning Meghan's behavior. He wrote, quote, I am very concerned that the Duchess was able to bully 2 PAs out of the household in the past year. The Duchess seems intent on always having someone in her sights. She is bullying X, name withheld by author, and seeking to undermine her confidence. We have report after report from people who have witnessed unacceptable behavior toward X, despite the universal views from her colleagues that she's a leading talent within the household who's delivering first-rate work. Knauf, who's in daily contact with the staff, went on to say that the tour was very challenging and was made worse by the behavior of the Duchess, and goes on from there, saying the situation is very serious.
And when those inside the palace finally spoke, they didn't describe a misunderstood outsider. They described a leader who left people shaking, broken, and in tears. And let's not forget the palace's silence. Their failure to act when the bullying claims emerged isn't just negligence, it's complicity. It suggests that the monarchy, terrified of another PR disaster, chose optics over ethics. Was Meghan's behavior the product of ambition gone toxic, or a survival instinct sharpened by years of media hostility?
So did you actually get to see this memo, Valentine?
I had that memo read out to me. I didn't physically see it, but I have also, my source also showed me, should we say, physical evidence of other conversations backing up the allegation of bullying, and testimony from members of staff about the effect that Meghan's behaviour had on them. You know, people talking about how they were shaking with fear because they anticipated getting a roasting from Meghan, and how they felt physically sick. And it was obviously not a healthy working atmosphere. There was one point when one member of staff was trying to do something at a meeting that Meghan was trying to explain why something was difficult. And Meghan said to her, don't worry, if there's literally anyone else I could get to do this, I would. And that poor person was absolutely crushed. And just one of many examples of being, completely squashed by Meghan. And a short while later, Prince William saw this person in the corridor and said, "Oh, look, listen, I hear you've been having a bit of a bad time. I'm really sorry, but just want you to know you're doing a really great job." And they just burst into tears. It was just so broken at that point. People were broken.
Did the palace cover up her actions out of fear or loyalty? And most provocatively, if these accounts are true, can Harry still claim moral high ground after defending her so fiercely? What does it mean when the royal family's biggest scandal isn't about tradition or racism, but about emotional cruelty behind closed doors? This story isn't just about Meghan. It's about how easily truth gets buried when charisma blinds the crowd. It's about how power, royal or celebrity, corrupts the narrative before it ever reaches the public.
Walk us through, tell us a little bit, because, the book is about all the people around the royal family, courtiers. Walk us through who these people are, not in terms of identity, but when I read this, part of me asked myself, why is everybody always crying around her? Either she's terrible, or these are a bunch of snowflakes, right? Are these snowflakes? Are these just weak-kneed people serving the royal family who need to toughen up a little?
No, they're not snowflakes. And let me tell you a bit about the two people who were closest to Harry and Meghan in the period we're talking about. So their private secretary was an Australian woman called Samantha Cohen, who worked for the Queen for a long time, incredibly able, popular. The Queen loved her, very, very, very tough as well, and very imaginative. And everyone liked Sam. And the communications person was a woman called Sarah Latham, who has dual US and UK nationality, and very tough, very experienced media professional. And these two people. So first of all, there's a point to be made that they're not stuffy old Brits. So the idea that the wicked old palace, tweedy old courtiers, crushing the spirit of free-thinking Meghan, that's just not true. And the other is that they believed in it at the beginning. They were very much on Harry and Meghan's side, and they wanted to make it work, and they did everything they could to make it work. But by the end of it, they and other people who work for Harry and Meghan were calling themselves the Sussex Survivors Club. And they were saying things like they were describing Meghan as a narcissistic sociopath. And in one incredibly telling phrase, they said, "We were playing." They felt they were manipulated by Meghan and let down by her. So, it all started off with the best of intentions.
Every smile in those Netflix specials, every carefully lit confession, they all look different when you hear the staff describe fear instead of loyalty, manipulation instead of mentorship. The Meghan they knew wasn't the media's fairy tale. It was a far darker queen, one who ruled not through grace, but through control. So, what happens next? As Valentine Low's evidence continues to circulate and public trust fractures, one question echoes louder than ever. Was Meghan Markle the palace's victim, or its most dangerous weapon? Either way, this story isn't over. The truth is still unraveling, and when it finally comes out, it won't just change how we see Meghan, it might change how we see the entire royal machine. Subscribe, stay tuned, and tell me in the comments, who do you believe? The Courtiers or the Duchess?